Welcome. This lesson is simply a matter of learning to move around on the coordinate plane, usually from a given starting point that might not necessarily be the origin. And we're learning this because we're going to get into some what's called transformations, where you move points left and right, up, down, you reflect them across the x-axis, you rotate them. But until you're comfortable just moving around on the coordinate system, those transformations will be very difficult. So I want to do this as a review. So this lesson basically gives you a starting point. We start at the point 1,7. You don't need to graph it. I'm just pointing at it. I'm going to start. I'm actually going to put a, so you won't have the ability to graph it, but I'm starting right here. That's the point 1,7. X value of 1, Y value of 7. Then it tells us to do something. It says move right 8 units from that starting point. So if I move right 8 units, I'm going to end up right here. And again, if you need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, by all means do so. But I'm hoping you're smart enough to realize that if I'm moving right 8 units, I'm increasing this x value by 8. So I'm in a sense just adding 8 to 1 to get an x value of 9. So then it asks us, what is this new point? Well, now it has an x value of 9, but I just moved right. I didn't move up or down. So my y value of 7 stayed the same. And I type in the point 9, 7. So it's, again, learning to move around on the coordinate system and adjusting the right value. I'm going to jump ahead because that's really all there is to these. Okay, here it says you start at -3, 3. So again, if you need to, you come over here to -3, you come up here to 3. That point right there has an x value of -3 and a y value of +3. That's where I'm starting. Then it says to move down 8 units. Now you can take the time to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but I'm hoping you get better at just saying, hey, if I'm moving down, I got to subtract 8 or be 8 lower than this 3 value. I'm going to change the y. So if I minus 8 from 3, so now I'm minusing 8 from 3 because I'm moving down, I get to -5. So this point down here has a y value of -5. Now I just moved down. So the x value didn't change. I still have an x value of -3. The x value did not change, but the y value became -5. And I type that in. -3, -5. Okay, I'm going to again jump ahead. And if you'll notice, they start to have us move a different way. It says, and they have us work backwards. So they're going to make sure you understand, all right, it says you move left 2 and you move up 1 unit. You end at 3, -2. So this is where I ended up. So we got to think about, how do we go back the other direction? So in other words, if I go over 3 and down to -2, that's this point right here, okay? And I got there by moving left 2. Now be careful. I moved left 2. So to undo that, I would actually have to move right 2. And I moved up 1. Well, if I moved up, to undo that, I would have had to move from, I'd have to go down. So it's kind of going backwards from this point right here, which again, now let's see what its x value is. Its x value is 5, and its y value is -4. Do you agree that if I move left, that means I'm going to -2 from 5, I get to 3. And if I move up, that means I add 1 to -4. Do I get to -2? I don't. Did you notice my mistake? I graphed my point wrong. My original point, hopefully you noticed that, my original point should be right here. And I should have moved right 2 and down. Well, that's the point that I should be at. So I made a mistake, and I caught my mistake. So I should be at -3, because that's 1 unit away from -2. But the mistake a lot of you will make is you'll get in the habit of just quickly doing the problem and you're going to go the wrong direction. So read carefully. I ended at 3, -2. I didn't start there. So I kind of do the opposite of what it said I did to get to 3, -2. Let's do one more of those. So again, and I'm not even going to use the grid. I'm just going to say, all right, I ended at 2, 3, and I got there from some unknown point, and I got there by moving right 4. So what that means, if I move right, I had to have added 4 to this value to get to 2. And then I moved down 1. That means I minused 1 from the y value to get to this y value. So going the other direction, I'm actually going to go 2 minus 4. That gives me a -2. And I'm going to go 3 plus 1. That's going to give me 4. So now if you'll notice, -2 plus 4 is 2. 4 minus 1 is 3. So I must have started at the point -2, 4. -2, 4. Now the reason I did it that way is because eventually, and you get up to the higher or into the 80s and 90s, I believe they don't give you a coordinate system. So you have to figure it out without the coordinate system or have your own piece of paper. So again, what I would do is if I start at the point 0, 5, and I move left 3 units, moving left affects the x. So I'm moving left. Moving left is going to be minus, so I'm going to -3 from the x value. I don't do anything to the y value, so there's a 0 change in the y value. 0 minus 3 is -3. 5 with no change at all is still a 5. And so I end up at the point -3, 5. And I didn't even need to look at a grid in order to do it. I just think about how the x is changing and how the y is changing. If you have questions on how to do this, please bring them to class and I will help you.